Hello, and welcome everyone to this pilot episode of the Popular Culture and Education Research Network's podcast, which does not yet have a name, but perhaps by the time you watch this, it will have a name. So fingers crossed. The very first guest and the bravest person I know, Dr. David Lewin, is joining me here today. He has very little idea of what's going to happen. He is a philosopher of education extraordinaire from the University of Strathclyde. He is what is known as a reader, which means
which means an academic role, the same as all the others, just with a particular title and a particular grade.
so he does exactly the same job as everyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's nothing special.
Correct.
So, I did not write an introduction, as you probably noticed. I just sort of said stuff that came to my mind. But I actually did search your name on Google, David.
Oh, good.
Have you ever done that before?
I have.
Have you? So you won't be surprised to learn that there are a number of academics called David Lewin in the
Yes,
world.
I am aware.
Can you remember the sorts of things that they do?
Well, I know that one is a composer.
Correct. He changed the theory of music using mathematics.
I did not. I haven't looked
Doesn't
into
that
it.
make you feel inferior?
I don't compare myself to the other people
I'm
called
glad.
David Lewin. And I think one is in management, maybe. I've got a feeling there's one
I've written them
in
all down here.
Canada in management.
So there
This is like the Dave Gorman show,
is.
but that was like 20 years ago.
Oh, wouldn't that be? You should do that.
Yeah.
That'd be excellent. So one is the music theorist. One is a professor emeritus at UCLA in the business school.
Oh yeah,
That's the guy you're thinking of. One trained at Rhode Island School of Design, which is the same school that Seth MacFarlane went to, and he now has his own design studio and he makes shoes, I think.
Cool.
One does research on inflammatory bowel disease, not so glamorous. And one works on biotech partnerships and helping launch companies in pharmaceuticals. Now, ChatGPT very helpfully gave us a ranking of these David Lewins.
Mm-hmm.
6 of you.
Yes.
Where do you think?
What was the ranking to do with? Ranking on, tallest,
Fame.
largest shoe size? Fame.
Most well known.
Most well known. Oof. That's hard. I mean, I don't want to sound like I want to big myself up. I would put myself in the middle.
Okay.
I'd slap bang in the middle.
At number, please.
3 or 4.
Well done. You were number 4.
Was I?
Does that surprise you?
Well, obviously not, because I predicted that's roughly where I thought I would be. But I'm,
It surprised me.
Why?
It just did.
Okay. Well, I knew that this composer was a famous person and
He's a big guy.
management UCLA guy. So I knew that there was a couple of big David Lewins to contend with.
It must be really tough to have those big shoes to fill.
Well, I imagine Nicola Robertson is even harder to.
Don't look that up. Don't look it up. So I was inspired by ChatGPT. You know, ChatGPT is so orderly and it does everything really well because it ranked you so beautifully and you knew exactly where you were going to sit. It's almost like you're in tune with that machine.
I very much am.
I made my own ranking of people called David.
Okay.
Where do you think you sit in that ranking?
Just called David?
Everybody in the world.
That's a lot of people. Notorious or notoriety of Davids in the world. I'm going to be in the. I'm going to go for 5,000 to 10,000.
No, you're way out.
Am I? 100,000.
Way out. You're 5th. You're 5th in my list of top Davids in the world.
Well, you see, of course, ChatGPT cannot be trusted on these matters. So, who
do you think? Who do you think came above you?
David Baddiel.
Close.
David
he
Brent.
was number 6th.
Was
he? Was number 10th.
Wow.
Yes, they were all.
David Cameron.
Absolutely nowhere. I had
David Mitchell.
David Mitchell, the comedian. Yes.
Yeah.
He was on the list, but he's not in the top list. I had David Sowerbutts. Do you know David Sowerbutts?
No.
From Psychoville.
Larry David is.
Larry David was number 2. Larry David was number 2. David Bowie.
Hero.
Who was number 1?
I could see in your notes.
Michelangelo,
Michelangelo,
David.
yeah.
There you go. You're only 4 steps behind them.
Wow.
You can
But I
take that
can't
away.
take them out of history and become number one. That's the problem. There's no way of erasing them from
But
the
you could,
internet.
but you could, of course, improve upon yourself and be better than these people at some point.
I think there's more chance of me erasing them from the internet, to be honest.
I'm fairly confident that you could be as miserly and misanthropic as Larry David if you tried. If you tried really hard.
That is one of my ambitions in life, to
Me too.
achieve that.
Me too. I'm sure I'll do it before you do.
Yeah.
So, the point of this podcast, of course, is to talk about popular culture and education, not just to arbitrarily rank you against people with the same name. So, I asked you to bring an object of popular culture with you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to say something about what you've chosen?
Well, I chose a film that I have seen a long time ago, and I hoped to watch it again before speaking to you, but that hasn't happened. So my recollection of the details of the story might be a bit hazy. The movie is about something I used to do, I suppose. I was a drummer. I occasionally still do drum. Quite seriously, was a drummer for a few years. And this film is about an aspiring drummer who goes to a jazz school in New York and encounters a very mean and intense teacher. The film is called Whiplash.
Whiplash. I have never seen it.
Okay.
So that was a very helpful synopsis. Tell me why you think this is a useful object or a useful film to help us to think about education.
So one of the things the film focuses on is the pedagogical relations between an educator and a student. And it brings out all the kind of tensions and contradictions that arise in life when people try to influence other people. What's maybe interesting about it is on the one hand, there's a quite straightforward presentation of the pedagogical triangle. You've got this this teacher Fletcher, who's extreme in his methods, who's extreme in his aspiration. He wants to create the next Charlie Parker, he says, and he'll go to extreme lengths to do whatever it takes. And then you have Andrew, this fairly mild, fairly committed, but fairly regular, recognizable student who comes to the jazz school and has some aspiration, but through the course of the film becomes more and more obsessive. And it's not clear whether the obsession that the student has is a result of the influence of the educator or something that was always within the student. Was the aspiration to become one of the great jazz drummers always in the student, or was it something that was put in him by Fletcher, the educator? That remains an open question through the film. There's a wonderful scene towards the end of the film, the bar scene, where Fletcher tries to justify his extreme methods to the student, to Andrew, by explaining that no one ever got anywhere from hearing that good enough or something. That was good, well done. The kind of faint praise that education is replete with is something that Fletcher cannot stand and thinks is anathema to real profound educational process. So anyway, so Fletcher tries to justify his extreme methods of violence, of abuse, of shouting, and stuff like that, and following this there's a scene at the end, and again it's left hanging as to whether in the end Andrew still hungers for recognition and affirmation from the teacher, from Fletcher, or indeed whether Fletcher is able to be a genius player on his own terms, having, as it were, escaped the need for recognition. Many films about education describe the passage from heteronomy, being dependent on the teacher's appreciation, to autonomy, no longer needing that appreciation.
Can you
Being
name some?
Goodwill Hunting would be an
Okay.
example where a student starts off needing the educator and in the end doesn't. Um, I mean, there are lots of them. It's quite maybe Dead Poet Society, classic film.
Uh-huh.
You know, Keating, the teacher, inspires, and then when the kids at the end stand on the table, they express their own autonomous judgments to sort of stand against, let's say, some of the strictures of that school. So they become themselves. Is a kind of a personal formation, maybe subjectification, to use that jargon.
In that respect,
Yeah.
then, do you think that passage from heteronomy to autonomy could be considered a trope almost?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I would say that's right. It is a trope. And it's a trope that is maybe subverted in Whiplash because you cannot tell. In fact, not only can you not tell, you're given a strong hint that the student remains in the orbit of the teacher. And yeah, that's how it ends.
That's great. Is it? It's an ambiguous ending.
It's an ambiguous
In
ending.
in your mind, is it a is that a pessimistic ending for you personally? Do you think?
I mean, it's slightly. I mean, by disposition, I like a happy ending.
Why do you think that is? Now we're getting to it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
happy endings, of course, have been peddled to us since we
I
were
know, I know,
very,
I know.
very tiny.
So William James describes, these fundamental characters of different people in the varieties of religious experience: the sick soul and the happy consciousness. He basically says there are two kinds of people, and I've always, unfortunately, felt myself to be superficially associated with the happy consciousness. Someone who seeks resolution. I love Mozart. I like things in order. I mean, I'm not a tidy person, but I like things to be resolved in story and to everyone to live happily ever after. That's what I'm looking for when I go to the movies, which I never do. But so that's in my mind what I want. Um, but somehow I know that that's not serious art. That's not serious culture. Real profound stories often end with ambiguity and open up, let's say, multiple interpretations and don't leave you with a clear idea of what you're supposed to think. And yeah, leave you with more questions. And I think that's what's good about Whiplash is it leaves you with those questions. Although I've I've mentioned this film or shown some clips on the film and literature module. Often students are quite quick to think this guy is just an abuser,
Yeah.
and there's no justification for his methods whatsoever, and there's no real ambiguity. He's just a bad guy and whatever. And I can see that, but I think there is something also about the aspiration to genius that entails a kind of suffering that is recognizable
Mhm.
as part of that. But the trope, then, the sort of characteristic trope of transition from heteronomy to autonomy, is satisfying to me dispositionally, but I think there's something important about holding an openness to multiple interpretations.
Yeah, because that would be reflective of the educational experience itself, right? The fact
Right.
that education is never fully resolved.
Yeah. But of course, art doesn't need to reflect educational experience. It's just, it can just entertain. It can just. So it's an open question as well whether a good film is good because it reflects the actual educational process, or is it a good film because it's entertaining? And how do we separate those things?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
suppose it wouldn't actually matter because it just depends on the person who's watching it and is using it for analysis. So, like, we can say a film is good because it's funny, or we had a nice time at the cinema watching it,
Hmm.
or we can say a film is useful for educational analysis because of all of the following,
Hmm.
all the things that you just said about Whiplash,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you suggest that Fletcher then is a good educator, or is he a bad educator,
It's
or is
is
it too ambiguous to?
well, yeah, of course. I'm going to say it's ambiguous. It's not left clear. I mean, on the face of it, he's a horrendous educator. You know, he's manipulative, egotistical, um, self-important, all those things. Um, is he doing this so that, is he behaving in this way so that the student is forced upon themselves, is forced to find within themselves the resources to do what they do, to discover the light within, the genius spark, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So I, it could be, it could be that some things he does are a reflection of what we might describe in educational theory as pedagogical tact. It could be that the way he behaves is considered. It doesn't feel as though he does things out of, you know, rage, like a lack of control. It does feel as though well, occasionally in the film, and now I'm trying to remember the details of the film, but my recollection of the film is yes, he throws a chair at Andrew during a scene where they're all the orchestra, the small ensemble orchestra of 20 players, throws a chair at him. Are you rushing, or were you dragging? Were you pushing? If you disturb the time of this band, I will gut you like a pig, or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
That's the phrase he uses. But of course, what he's doing, I think, is considered, and he's also performing to all of the people in that ensemble. Everybody is witness to this,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody can see what he's doing. And surely it isn't just about Fletcher and Andrew in that moment. It's about Fletcher's relationship with all the other students and what he is indirectly saying to everybody else in the room, that this is what it means, this is what you've got to give, whatever
Mm-hmm.
rationale one might have for behaving in this way. And incidentally, he doesn't actually hit him with the chair. No actual physical harm comes to Andrew, although there's a sense in which he slightly loses his mind during.
No wonder. Oh my God.
So yeah.
Yeah. Given that these films, that this film and other films and other objects of popular culture exist, and we can analyze them educationally, what do you think this one in particular offers the viewer in terms of how they think about education? Is it intended to be a challenge, or is it intended to?
Well, I think it's David Chappelle, maybe the director of Whiplash, describes a little bit of the atmosphere he wanted to create. So it's a fictional Schaefer Jazz School. It's fictional, but based on, I think he said he spent some time in, I might be wrong here, but he wanted to create an authentic music school pressured experience. And funnily enough, I have watched a couple of videos of, you know, youngish great drummers watching the movie and describing whether it's realistic or not. And in some ways, they say, you know, the pressure of the music school environment, there's things that are recognizable about it. Certainly, that kind of competitiveness, the pressure, a certain kind of stress, a certain kind of fear with respect to the educator that you want to not, you know, fluff you fluff your lines, make a mistake in front of the band leader. So all those things create a sort of sense in which this is an authentic depiction of an educational situation. And there's some authentic dimensions to the pedagogical relations within it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it is somewhat extreme. It is a movie, and you know,
Yeah.
I think people have drawn parallels between Whiplash and Black Swan, which I have not seen, but I think there's a sort of similar dynamic going on. That there's a kind of a pursuit of extreme genius artistic in that case ballet. Yeah, so the image of the pedagogical space, the educational situation is recognizable apparently. And the question of stereotyping and having these extreme characters and whether that's helpful or a hindrance to understanding education is an open one, I would say. It's quite helpful to understand that there are all these things operating in a classroom, like pressure, anxiety, stress, which can, dare I say, play an important pedagogical function. So when students have to get up and do a presentation, yeah, of course we try and say bland, nice things, good job. Oh yeah, that's the word, the phrase good job. No, there's no two words in the English language more useless or more problematic than good job. That's what Fletcher says in the Bible. And of course we say all that kind of stuff. And there's definitely a part of me that wants to kind of raise an eyebrow and like look slightly perturbed when at certain moments, to create that kind of atmosphere. We know that there are some colleagues who are better at employing those arts than others. So I think there is something helpful in maybe drawing them in fairly stark ways so that we can look at them.
Do you think that people who watch Whiplash then, not necessarily in an educational way for any sort of analysis, but just in general, just at home, will notice that this is the wrong way to be doing things? Or not the wrong way, but not the way that they would have experienced their own educational endeavours? And would they be horrified,
I mean,
shocked? Would
I
they be pleased?
in some ways, I think that the film like this depends upon the viewer recognizing that the quest for greatness is fraught, is challenging, is stressful, is difficult. Whether it needs to be quite so fraught and stressful as as unfolded in this particular film. So near the end, when he's trying to get to this sort of final concert, he's slammed into by a car and he's concussed and he's got, I don't know if he's got any, I don't think he's got any broken limbs, but he certainly looks quite bashed up. He sort of staggers out the car and everyone's like, and he just says, I have to go, and runs off to the performance theatre to go and play the drums. It's extreme, but I think I'm going to say many viewers will recognize that there is something we have to kind of challenge, we have to work through in order to achieve what we want to achieve in life, maybe. And I think there's also something compelling and desirable about that. We want to actually go through some great, not terminal, but significantly dramatic a process that leads to some kind of transformation. I think there's something quite appealing to us about this, I suspect. You might call it the hero's journey, to borrow from Joseph Campbell's phrase. So there's always some kind of great deed that we have to undertake during an educational process, and that in the end we come out victorious. Hopefully, I mean that's the idea. Again, it's going back to the happy ending. Star Wars.
That's a trope, eh?
Yeah, things come together in the end. So I can't remember your question, but yeah, overall, I think that's what people like about it. I think that's that's the energy of the film, is that we sort of maybe sympathise with Andrew.
Yeah, there must be something identifiable in it for the people watching it in order for it to be so popular.
Yeah.
I have only two more questions about Whiplash.
Right.
Easy ones.
Uh-huh.
Would you recommend it to the people listening?
Yes, I would certainly recommend that, yeah.
And the second one is, do you feel disappointed that you weren't a great enough drummer to be subjected to someone like Fletcher?
I mean, there are roads not travelled in life, aren't there? And I dabbled in various instruments, and
and you play all of them adequately. Just so you know.
I'm adequate in many ways.
Indeed.
Maybe there's a slight eye on what might have been.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's all
all.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the last couple of minutes before we say au revoir, I want to. So you're interested in divination? Is that correct?
I
Or you
am.
were at one point?
I still am.
You
I
still-
say I am, but I don't practice it or do anything. Well, let's see. Maybe I will.
So in this next or the final challenge, what I would like you to do is close your eyes and choose a number between 1 and 6. I did have a dice, but I've forgotten to bring it.
Okay.
So, and I will tell you something that corresponds with that number. I have a list that corresponds with that number. They all comprise of pop culture objects, and you can sound off for a minute what do you think about this particular object of popular culture. It can be related to education or it can just be your opinion.
Okay.
It's entirely up to you.
Okay.
So close your eyes and think carefully and choose a number between 1 and 6.
This isn't one of these Darren Brown moments where you've programmed me to say a particular number subconsciously, because, of course, the number I'm going to say is where I came in the list, and that was 4th, which is naturally what I'm going to say now. Maybe very predictably.
Not at all predictably. Like I was not programming you at all. But your object, and I'm sure you'll be delighted to hear this, is Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. How do you feel about Taylor Swift in terms of education or just in general?
I haven't given that one much thought. Taylor Swift's body of work seems to me, from what I know of it, which is very little, significant, and she's clearly a figure in popular culture that there's the Swifties, there's significant world of stuff that seems to circulate around her. I think her boyfriend is a football player or something, and that's important. That's very important.
Yeah.
So I think I know one of her songs. I've forgotten what it's called. I can only think of the tune.
Shake It Off.
Shake It Off.
Oh my God.
Shake It Off.
That was
very good. I'm sure I do. Actually, we played a version of.
Correct. We did in the
I Can't Stop Loving You, which she covered. Was it a Wayne Sleep song or something like that?
Wayne Sleep is a ballet dancer.
I know, but isn't he also a singer?
No.
Oh, who is it then? Originally
Some
played.
other guy.
All right. Anyway, so she covered this song, "Can't Stop Loving You," and we've played that.
And
that
it was
fun.
very nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. So, I feel connected to Taylor Swift in small ways.
In small ways, and with that wonderfully eloquent ending, I'd like to say thanks to everyone for joining us, and thanks to Dr. Lewin for also joining us and being a very good and very capable first guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you.